Okay, is there any challenge this morning? Am I just going to mow loads of bunnies in a row? A 2247. Oh, now I'm in for a caning. Boesemine, I bet he's won loads of games. Yay! This is a shark. Oh, this is going to be painful, isn't it, for me? I'm just, oh, look at his track record. Oh, dear, oh dear. No mercy for anyone. This guy managed to win. I don't know. Oh. Right, so if I play e6, sometimes this was good in the past. This pawn sack. If I take here, oh, bishop e3. That's already pretty strong, isn't it? What about bishop d3 here for a sec, threatening queen h5? Okay, so now maybe knight f3 and then d takes c5 if given the opportunity, because now that I control against e5, d takes c, there's no reaction to e5. I remember looking this up recently on chessgames.com, so there might be something for the pawn sack here. The usual safe approach is, well, not this, but something else. But okay, so knight takes d4. There's e5. So I think I need to keep hold of against e5. Knight b5. If knight takes d4, knight b5, knight c6. Queen e2, I keep hold of e5. So I think I'll go with knight b5. And there's also bishop f4 on the cards. Hopefully not dead yet. 2 pawns down. Oh dear. So bishop f4 seems logical. Threatening knight c7 as well as contesting e5. Maybe if queen a5 check, I play king f1. Try and get a free hand in position at the inconvenience of a king move. It's one of my recent over the board losses that I just played king f1 casually with a grip, still a grip on the position. So if this is meant to be the problem with bishop f4, I'm not sure it's a big problem. My king can just go there. The rook's happy enough, I think, h4. Get the rook out like that. h4, rook h3 to g3. I just want to contest e5. That's been the key thing so far. So who is Boesemine? All round good player. 1 minute rating 1939, not bad. 5 minute 2288, very good. 3 minute 2020, been up to 2147. Very good overall. Okay. Hasn't played 1 minute since 2002 actually. Played 3 minute back in October 2010. So I've got a few pieces developed. Knight c7, bishop c7. Knight c7 is a problem, perhaps. Okay, what is this? Knight e5. I have to do that. Getting a pawn back. Still threatening knight c6 maybe, knight c7. Happy so far with the opening. I think just a pawn down now, without clearly losing a piece yet or any major disaster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or we can 2 captures, 1. Pawn down. Compensation. No natural e6, I just take and then knight c7 check. Queen a5, I play king f1. G6. I just take. There's an immediate problem with knight C6 here to deal with. Has black got a bad position here? Interesting. There's a lot of thinking time here. Okay, there looks to be a juicy position. Looking at forcing moves, Queen H5 doesn't do anything. Queen G4 doesn't do anything. Knight C7 doesn't do anything. Knight G6. Knight G6. Whoa! For Knight C7, I don't want to lose two pieces for the thing. Queen E2. There's Knight takes D4 if I want to get another pawn back. That could be the safest option because Knight D3 and Queen A5 would win that knight. Castling. A6. Wait for A6 maybe. If Knight takes C takes, maybe Rook C1. I protect E4 with a pawn. If Queen B6 there, maybe Queen A4. If C takes, Queen A4. So maybe just castling. Castling? Instead of not retracting that knight? Is that the most dangerous? Any other forcing moves to consider? Queen D2, Knight D3, there's nothing else problem taking. If I castle, then Rook E1. What about castling E6? There's G4 to consider. Knight D3, what about Queen takes D3, Queen A5, King F1? G4, I could just take after that. I think castling, if E6, there's nothing else is going on here. Knight D4, doesn't that threaten Bishop B5 anyway to provoke A6? So if E6, Bishop B5, then there might be Queen H5 if Knight D7. Knight D4 here, without waiting. Knight D3, Queen D3, still threatening Queen B5 maybe. Knight D4, indeed. I don't know, it's a toss-up between castling and Knight D4 then. If I castle, what about Queen B6 or Knight D3 followed by Queen B6? I think I'm going to grab this pawn, you know, while I still can. Equal on pawns. Nice centre. And he's moving a piece twice with this knight. I've introduced Bishop B5. If the knight takes, then Queen takes sort of gets the Queen active for Queen B5, which could be handy. So Bishop B5 is also now an immediate threat, so he'd have to waste time with A6 anyway, even if I left that knight there. So I've got the advantages of okay, so Queen takes or C takes. Queen takes, there's Queen B5. I think that sells it to me, Queen for Queen B5. And then E6 could be a problem. If E6 check, Knight Bishop D7, Knight takes, Queen takes. What about even castling queenside? Interesting. Okay, there has been a time waste. So if I castle now or castle queenside? If I castle kingside, there might be Knight C6 on the cards at some point. Or Knight F5. Castling kingside. What benefit? King slightly safer? I think castling kingside. Maybe Knight G6 of G6. Keep the king in the centre. Although Rook E1, Knight sack. So Rook E1 here threatens nasty things. Maybe Knight G6 to keep the king in the centre. Anything else? Any forcing moves here? Knight C6, Queen G3, Queen F3, Queen H3, Knight B5, take. It seems tactically sound, the opponent's position. Apart from this Knight g6, I think I'll go for that. Knight g6. Try and keep the king in the centre. So bishop d6, knight g6. Bishop f4, maybe I'll take the rook. If it takes, check, and then there's fun in the centre. Keep the rook out of the game. King f8. King f8. Do I really want to do that? Knight c6 here. Knight f5. Knight f5 looks good. Just to open up the king. If castles, knight d6, queen d6, knight g6 wins the exchange. If bishop e5, or knight g6 here to stop castling altogether. Attack the rook. Takes check. Or knight takes e6. Bishop takes e6. Knight g6. Whoa! Hang on a sec, that stops castling. Takes check and take here. So knight e6, bishop e6, knight g6 stops castling. That stops castling as well. Takes, check, and win the other one. So what about just knight e6? Isn't that a crush? Strip open the king in the centre, stop it castling. Tower will be proud. Hang on. There's king f7 there. Knight e6, bishop e6, knight g6. Unfortunately, king f7. Knight takes check, and then, hang on. Bishop takes d6. Knight e6, bishop e6, knight g6. So he doesn't take, he plays king f there. I take. Takes, bishop d6. I think that's it. I'm going to do that while the king's in the centre. So also bishop f4, rook e6, knight f4 after. So I'm going to mow these two bishops down if takes. If king f7, I take and then take on d6. If bishop takes, I take and take on f4. So what's happened here? I'm a pawn down still. No, black's a pawn down now. For a moment. For a piece. I'll just take on e6, then take on f4. And that's taking on h8 here. King e6. It's not needed. Well, just knight takes f4. Maybe g5. Queen f5. Alright, so there's rook e7 here. That forces king g8 unless he wants to sack the queen. And there's queen f5 hitting the rook, threatening queen e6 mating. So maybe rook e7, fire on board. Shirov. Rook e7. King g8. What about knight takes f7 there? Knight takes h7, the rook can come out in a sack. With just knight takes f4. Simple. Knight f4. If g5, maybe rook f6 and knight d5. Rook e7, king g8. Queen f5 is attempting. How does he defend e6? Say queen d6. Oh, there's hg all the time. I keep forgetting hg. And check. King h7. Right, so knight takes f4 might be the simplest to be content with that. But g5 to be factored in. maybe just rook a1 threatening rook e7. So takes rook e7. That looks strong for queen f5, so I think I'll go with that. Seems safe enough, just the pawn up. So rook a1 looks strong, centralisation anyway. Also this pawn could be loose if rook e8, there could be rook f6 and queen h7. Down to 6 minutes. Oh blimey. I don't want to get too much in time pressure here. I'll play rook a1, just a few simple, make the position easier type moves, rather than play the position. Look at the time. Someone's mentioned that could be a factor for deciding, do you want to make the position easier to play or the time? I don't want to lose all my pieces here, but it seems likely after that that I'm going to lose both rooks, etc. if I play this, because actually taking oh dear, have I messed up big time? Queen f5, messed up big time. I was thinking rook f6, knight d5, but I'm not convinced. Mind you, there is queen e6. Two rooks for the queen and knight, not really on, is it? Queen f5 might threaten something. Can't see it. Knight d5, if queen d5, rook f6, if knight d5, queen f5 looks strong. If king e6, check. What about rook f6, queen f6, queen d5? That looks good for knight e6, I wouldn't go for that. 4:15. Don't want to get too much below 2 minutes. So queen d5, I think. Try and keep the attack going. Try and get the rook in somehow. What is knight h5 winning the queen? This could be a scalp. I haven't beaten someone that high yet. He was resigned. Scalp 2155. Yes! Crush! Oh, this guy's a monster. I've just beaten a killer, an assassin. So I thought here knight e4, was it? No, d4, forget that. d4 is the move. d4, not knight e4. d4 is the usual. So this might be good for white, as long as I make sure e5 is not playable. I mean, that was the key that I sort of discovered when checking on ChessGames.com. If you want to play this as white, you've got to keep control of e5, top priority. So first piece sack, g5 was a worry, exchange sack, disaster. Comments or questions on YouTube? Thanks very much.